Hey there. You're looking better today. How do you feel? Good. Here you go. One of these is for you. No, this is a regular cup of tea. I wouldn't spring the other stuff on you, although you still have to drink it today. Oh, got it over with already. Good idea. Well, since you've slept on the whole I'm a werewolf knowledge, feeling any more amenable to the idea? Yes and no. I understand that. I thought that I could answer some questions for you. That is, if you're willing to listen and think outside of the box you know. Okay, good. So, you ask, and I'll answer what I can. Where are we? Good question. We're next to a forest outside the town limits. Not too far away, but far enough. This is our pack's homestead. Yes, we call ourselves a pack. Just like regular wolves. It's another name for a family. Are there other werewolves or packs around here? Yes. We're the only pack that I'm aware of, but there are a few lone wolves nearby. In fact, our neighbor, Mason Tierney, is a werewolf. He's also a good friend of Tyler's. They met in college and have been thick as thieves ever since. Mason lets us hunt in the forest, and we help keep the poachers away. We stay away from the center, though. That's Mason's den, and it's sacrosanct. Den, habitat, homestead, it's all the same. To me, it's more of a size reference. Lone wolves in a den, packs and habitats are homesteads. Some wolves don't live in their den or habitat, they only go there during the full moon or to get away for a while. Others, like our pack, live on a territory, so we call this our homestead. No, Mason's not part of our pack. He's a lone wolf. He's a good guy, nice as can be. Just prefers to keep to himself most of the time. We invited him to join us, and he politely declined. But we consider him an honorary packmate, whether he likes it or not. What's my role in the pack? I'm the pack alpha. I don't act like it, huh? You haven't seen me in the right circumstance yet. What does an alpha do? Well, they protect and care for their pack. They do what's right for the group as a whole, and a good alpha will listen to their packmates. More often than not, they take a mate. Sometimes they don't. But they always have a beta, or second in command. Yes, females can be pack alpha. It's not males only. My mate Oliver was the alpha before me. Tyler is our son, and one day he will become our alpha. Right now, he's my beta. Yes, I said was. Oliver died a few years ago. Not something I want to talk about today. As his mate, I became pack alpha by right. There was a challenger, as I expected, but I stood my ground and kept the role. So here I am. Yeah, the alpha male thing. Ugh. It works in certain kinds of books and movies, but that's not a true alpha. Not saying there isn't some of that, but being an alpha has more to do with respect and trust. I earned the pack's respect before I became a werewolf, and not because I was Oliver's mate. It was definitely not the norm. Most of the Sanguine-borns in the pack had joined the family after they became wolves. None of them were attached to the alphas, and if they became someone's mate, it wasn't an issue. But I was different. Oliver Carson, heir apparent to the pack alpha, wanted to take a Sanguine-born as his mate. Not one that was already in the pack, though. One that was still human. It hadn't been done before, at least not in recent memory. Oliver suggested that the pack meet me before I went through the mauling. He didn't want them to be forced to accept me just because I was his mate, and I also wanted to earn their respect on my own. Call me stubbornly independent, but I wanted to make my own way. And Oliver agreed. That doesn't mean it was easy. Far from it. But the alpha had laid a strong foundation of trust and respect with his wolves. He didn't assert his dominance and demand that they accept his son's choice. Would it have made a difference if the pack had said no? To be honest, I have no idea. I wondered about that later. If someone had spoken up and objected, would Oliver have been forced to choose another? Fortunately, that was never a concern. Yes, it's true. We mate for life, just like regular wolves. And that is the last mate-related question I'm going to answer right now. What else? No, you're not part of the pack now. That's not how it works. Yes, we took you in. Taking care of you is the right thing to do. No strings attached, you can walk away at any time. You don't owe us anything. Like I said before, I'm glad Tyler found you. I don't want to think about what could have happened. Well, if you wanted to join the pack, that's different. We'd have to extend you an invitation, there's a ritual to perform, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We barely know you. Our trust isn't earned that easily. And you don't know us. Besides, you're still doubting the whole werewolf thing. I know. It still doesn't seem real. And it's a lot to deal with, especially considering how you became a werewolf. But let's focus on your questions, okay? I want you to have as much knowledge as possible before your first full moon. Well, that's when you'll morph or shift into wolf form for the first time. You won't have any control over it. Your wolf nature and your human nature will finally make peace with each other. The wolf comes out, and the human embraces it. After that, when you shift is up to you. A lot of us prefer to be in wolf form during full moon week. It feels more natural. But some of us stay in our human form. It's up to you. No, we're not slaves to the full moon, instantly transforming into howling feral nightmares. For the Sanguineborn, like you and I, we have to endure that first shift, and then we get to control it. For the Lycanborn, or Wolfborn, they grow up with that instinct. Speaking of instincts, have you noticed any changes in your hearing? Maybe in your eyesight or how things smell? Yes, that's all normal. Your senses get sharper, even in human form. It takes some getting used to. And until you shift, the intensity will vary. Sometimes the slightest noise will crash in your ears, or the daylight might hurt your eyes. Other times you won't notice any difference. See why the tea is so important? It helps level some of that out, keeps the confusion in your body and mind from going too wild. The good news is that once you get through your first shift, everything evens out. Your senses will still be sharper, but they won't be overwhelming. Does shifting hurt? Yes, it does. At least for a while. You develop a sort of, for lack of a better phrase, muscle memory for it, but it never gets comfortable. It gets easier to shift, but there's always some discomfort to it. What do we look like as wolves? You don't want to wait and find out? Sorry, I couldn't resist. We're quadrupeds, four-legged. Yeah, we could probably pass as a large dog if we had to, but the circumstances would have to be just right. There's no mistaking that we're wolves. All right, next question. Are we immortal? Now you're confusing us with vampires. No, but we do have an extended lifespan. Are vampires real too? Yes, they are, but let's stick with werewolves right now. We can talk about vampires later. Why do we have the scar? It's a mark of sorts. Only the Sanguineborn have it, and it fades over time. It's a reminder that we chose lycanthropy. We weren't born wolves, we became wolves for one reason or another. For instance, joining a pack. In the past, some packs have tried to weed out the mongrels in favor of the true wolves. Fortunately, most of that fervor died down centuries ago. Any other questions? If so, I'm going to have to make some more tea. Okay, fair enough. This has been a lot to digest. And I get the feeling you're more accepting now, but still a skeptic. No? You're working on losing the skepticism. That's good. If you're feeling up to it, perhaps we can get you up and walking around in the next few days. You don't want to let your muscles get atrophied, especially as a new wolf. Your body is confused enough right now. And at some point, Tyler will give you a tour of the homestead. Why Tyler? Well, for one, he'd like to talk to you, see how you're doing. And for another, I thought you might want to meet the person who saved your life. No, that's not an exaggeration. I don't know who left you out in the woods to either transform or die. Yes, I said die. Not every person who gets mauled will become a werewolf. There is always a risk that their body will reject it. I don't want to think about you having to lie out there in the forest and wait. That's too much like the ancient traditions, when werewolves were more savage and survival of the fittest was part of our culture. A time when our ancestors were more like the raving nightmares people tend to think of. But we aren't going to leave you to figure out lycanthropy on your own. You need help to navigate this, especially since you never asked to become a werewolf. We will help you. All of us will. How do I know? Well, our alpha had a conversation with everyone and told us what we were doing. There are both Lycanborns and Sanguineborns in our pack. They understand, and all of them have your back on this. We may not be your pack, but we are compassionate. We get it, and we won't let you do this alone. So don't worry. You might be the new whelp, but we aren't going to make you fend for yourself. All right, I'll leave you to the rest of your day. If you need anything, Gretchen will be within earshot. She'll take good care of you.